fatal crash on a northwestern Ontario highway over the long weekend. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Northwest Region OPP have confirmed that a transport crash yesterday led to a fatality.
The single vehicle collision also forced the closure of Highway 17 between Ignace and the Sioux Lookout turnoff for around 6 hours. The crash occurred in Satterley Township shortly before 8:30 in the morning. Dryden OPP responded along with fire crews and paramedics. The passenger in the transport truck, a 24-year-old from Mississauga, was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver was transported to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The OPP's traffic incident and collision reconstruction teams are involved in the ongoing investigation. The highway reopened at around 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
The Thunder Bay Police Board learned more about the service's peer support team at today's monthly meeting.
The group helps officers and their families deal with the mental struggles that can come with working in law enforcement. Vasilios Bellos reports.
Getting police officers the medical or psychological help they need. At Tuesday's meeting, the Thunder Bay Police Board heard more about the 17-member peer support team, which assists officers and their families by connecting them to professional help.
What we're doing is working. The stigma is going away.
Service Wellness Coordinator Constable Jeff Elvish says this is often in relation to mental health challenges that come through the profession. Elvish says this is an important step forward, knowing it wasn't a conversation being had a few years ago.
There's 25 years of my career. I know it was kind of the, don't say anything, you're tough, you can handle this stuff. And it's not true. I'm trying to get the message out that it's okay to not be okay sometimes and to talk to somebody about it, because that's really important.
Since 2017 in Thunder Bay, 1 police officer, 1 police cadet, 2 paramedics, and a firefighter took their own lives. Many instances of mental health disorder in the profession stem from post-traumatic stress.
Good openings there where people come forward, so it's been really good.
Police Chief Darcy Fleury says the team has been beneficial to service members and recognizes senior leadership needs to play a role in the solution.
We just have to be present, right? I mean, we have to make sure people understand that at times when they may be having a bit of difficulty, that they have their support, that they feel like it's okay to come forward, that they're not going to be, sort of criticized or chastised or kind of put in a place where they don't feel like they're comfortable or feel like they're wanted to come to work.
In 2023, the peer support team was approached by members 464 times. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
A 27-year-old Brampton man faces a number of drug trafficking and weapons charges after he arrived in the city with about $78,000 worth of suspected cocaine and fentanyl, as well as a loaded handgun. During the course of their investigation, Thunder Bay Police discovered that he'd arrived on Saturday, and the accused was arrested that morning. The man faces 10 charges in all. Police will hold a media conference tomorrow morning to discuss this and other recent drug trafficking and weapons arrests.
Ganoogaming First Nation has declared a state of emergency due to rising crime. The community near Long Lac is calling on the federal and provincial governments for immediate assistance.
You have to say enough is enough, and we need to draw the line somewhere and get the support.
Ganoogaming Chief Sherry Taylor says crime in the First Nation has increased over the past year, and serious incidents recently pushed council to declare the state of emergency. She connects the issue to a lack of police presence in the community and is demanding that Ottawa and the province step up to increase the number of officers and provide support for local peacekeepers.
You know, when you have drugs coming into the community, you have a lot of crime that comes with that, and that's like theft, assaults, serious crimes that have been occurring, and it's affecting our children.
Taylor adds the drug and alcohol abuse in Ganoogaming stems from both historic traumas and recent tragic events in the community. They're also asking for resources to address mental health and addictions.
The Transportation Safety Board has wrapped up its investigation of a hard landing in Sandy Lake in the fall of 2022, which caused significant damage to the fuselage of the plane. This photo shows the damage to the bottom of the bearskin plane, which was carrying 28 passengers and 3 crew members at the time. Fortunately, there were no injuries, but the impact caused the interior structure of the plane to buckle. The TSB found the pilot and first officer had both been hired a few months earlier and had a limited experience flying in the remote north. The flight path showed an unstable approach, which then caused the plane to bounce and tip up on the landing. Since that, Perimeter Aviation has revised its stabilized approach criteria and added a training video on pitch awareness.
Thunder Bay's Realty Services Division has identified some city-owned land that can be put up for sale.
Staff have found 8 properties, most of which are parkettes, that they'll recommend to City Council to declare surplus. The goal is to make more land available to construct much-needed homes in the city. Jess Clement has the details.
The Realty Services Division has posted public notice signs on various city-owned properties, which they'll be recommending to City Council to be declared surplus. In total, 8 properties are being looked at, with 6 of them being parkettes in area neighborhoods, including this one on Holly Crescent. Realty Services Manager Deanna Walker says she understands not everyone may be in favor.
We certainly appreciate that there are impacts to this exercise. We do invite feedback from the community. Let us know what they think, what they feel about that. That was included. How to do that was included in the information that was sent out to the neighborhoods. We have identified these properties as being already on servicing. They exist in these neighborhoods. They're infill sites to support housing. So while we acknowledge that there are certainly impacts, we are doing this for a purpose.
Walker notes the aim is to utilize the surplus lands for building much-needed new homes. She says when looking into properties, their top criteria was land in neighborhoods with pre-existing infrastructure. Development Services Director Joel DePuter says they're looking into all different types of housing to be built on the properties, including multi-unit housing.
This is really important to meeting the housing goals and also to assist the city's financial situation to generate more taxes, more housing units on existing services. So when council directed administration to go find surplus properties, including parkland, that was a key criteria for staff when we reviewed our property inventory. So what lands are on existing services, which lands could be used for housing, and in the case of parkland, where is there alternative park space nearby?
All money raised through the potential sale of lands will be reinvested into improving city parks. Walker says they're looking for feedback from citizens via email or regular mail, and she adds that they hope to reply to everybody. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
The longtime former publisher of the Chronicle Journal has passed away. Colin Bruce died this morning at the age of 73. He began his newspaper career in Belleville before moving on to Cornwall, Sarnia, Kirkland Lake, and Orillia. He was named general manager and publisher of the Chronicle Journal in 1994 and spent 30 years in that position before retiring in 2014. Bruce also took on leadership roles with the United Way and Lakehead University. Funeral arrangements are still pending.
Staff at the Lakehead Region Conservation Authority have a new assignment this year, monitoring the status of the sea lamprey population in the Nebing and McIntyre rivers. For the first time, the organization has been contracted by the Federal Department of Fisheries and Oceans to trap and release the invasive fish species in the rivers over an 8-week period. 2 of the traps were placed in the Nebing River near Edward Street and are checked daily for the mark and recapture study. Since placing traps at the end of April, only 1 lamprey has been caught so far. Environmental planner Michelle Willows says the study helps them assess the population to determine how effective control measures are.
It's really important to protect our fisheries. Sea lamprey had a really detrimental effect in the past, and so the Great Lakes Fishery Commission actually started the sea lamprey control program to get a handle on these invasive species and to protect our native ones for the long term.
The traps will remain in the rivers until the end of June.
An orphaned moose calf from the Thunder Bay area is settling into its new home at a wildlife sanctuary in the Muskokas. The male calf, nicknamed Thunder, is believed to just be over about a week old. Few details are available about where exactly it was found or how it was separated from its mother. An employee with the Ministry of Natural Resources first brought it to a wildlife center in the Sudbury area for a few days. The little moose was then driven further south to the Aspen Valley Wildlife Sanctuary in Roseau near Parry Sound. Thunder is expected to spend the next year in rehab before being released back into the wilderness.
Good to hear that Thunder is being well taken care of.
Absolutely.
All right, let's turn our attention to the weather now, Haley, and it is a wet one out there right now.
Yes, Thunder was very amply named, that's for sure, because we are expecting to see some tonight, but today was very much the calm before the storm, quite literally, as we did have a high of 16 today. That happened at noon, but it didn't last for very long. We saw some pretty drastic drops after that hour. It was mostly cloudy for most of the day, with rain having already started. Most of you may have noticed on your commute home. But yes, there is more coming, and that's why we are going to draw our attention to some weather warnings. We have rainfall warnings across most of the region, and even if it's not a rainfall warning, there is most likely a rainfall special weather statement as well. And even our Lakehead Region Conservation Authority, they have put out a special flood watch statement for the entire region, including areas like Thunder Bay, Nebing, Oliver, Papoonge, Dorian, Shunya, O'Connor, and Comney. So any low-lying areas or areas like rivers and streams, you have to be extra careful around those areas within the next 24 hours, as flooding may occur. Be careful on roadways especially. You don't know what's lying underneath large puddles. And so the heavy rain is expected with strong winds beginning later this evening. And for certain areas, that could be around 50 to 70 millimeters over the course of a 24-hour period. And winds could gust anywhere from 30 kilometers to 70 kilometers in certain areas of the region. So let's take a look at our region. We can see our radar had quite the boom underneath us, so south of us, below the border, but that large low pressure system is now moving up. You could see at this hour, it has already entered our region. So it is coming in with a great size and a lot of force as well. So when we take a look at where we're at this hour, Fort Frances, Atikokan, and Dryden, they're all at 14 right now, and they all are already seeing rain as well. And then Kenora, Red Lake, Sioux Lookout, they haven't seen rain yet, but they are looking mostly cloudy. 19 in Red Lake, though. We even have some warmer areas like Armstrong, they're at 20. And they saw a high of 22, but they are seeing some light rain right now. Greenstone is overcast and at 22. And yes, so right now there's a few areas that are still not seeing rain yet, but almost everywhere tonight will be. Over in Sault Ste. Marie, though, they're under partly cloudy skies, and they're at 24 degrees right now. So they are definitely not getting anything too wet and wild yet. But for tonight in Thunder Bay, rain will be heavy at times, like I mentioned, with the risk of thunderstorms. We're looking at getting about 30 to 40 millimeters tonight, but that will continue into tomorrow as well. And our wind situation will be a little interesting. Our low is 10 degrees, but winds could fluctuate anywhere from 20 to 50 kilometers an hour, and they're going to shift a little bit as the night goes on, Ryan and Riley. They're going to move from the east, southeast to northeast as the night goes on, and that's where we're going to see gust changes. So I'll have more details after.
All right, well, you know what, Haley? I was thinking about watering my plants today, and I'm very happy I chose not to. Thank you. Mother Nature will do that for us. Thank you so much. Well, when we come back, Canada's inflation has cooled to a 3-year low at 2.7%. And when we come back, we'll figure out what that could mean for the Bank of Canada's key interest rate.
Certainly moves the needle perhaps in favor of a June rate cut.